May I begin?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Elarige Namaskara. Good evening, everyone. We are very grateful for this opportunity to present our vision for Padarayanapura to you today. Janara Vedike, or the People's Forum, is an attempt to build a ward-level identity through urban transformation. Padarayanapura is a ward of nearly 38,000 people, and over the years it has remained largely underserviced with respect to built environment and public infrastructure. For example, there's only one major bus shelter in the entire ward. Apart from these infrastructural shortcomings, the people in the ward have also seen negative connotations associated with their ward, which has significantly affected their relationships with the city. So when conditions of the built environment are impacting social relationships within the city, how can design be used to create a sense of identity? To build the identity of the neighborhood, we have looked at existing systems on site. As it was pointed out, the bus stop, being one of the few in the area, anchors the site and becomes a focal point for transport to and from the city. Public services like the police station, post office, are located at the junction, making it a nodal point for ward-level administrative activities as well. The junction attracts not only its residents, but also people from neighboring wards for recreation, shopping, and street food. Can we now leverage these existing systems to achieve a transformation? We propose the creation of a People's Forum, one that is a transit hub, a governance center, and a community space at the junction. Having identified these three networks, we have also looked at their individual challenges which need to be strengthened. A key concern hampering efficient mobility is an insufficient turning radius for buses and undefined intersection geometries. Apart from the primary mobility challenges, we have also identified those related to spaces for governance, like the disconnect between public buildings and inadequate waste collection systems. For community-related activities, we found that there was no designated vending zones, a large number of yellow spots, and dead spaces which were leading to illegal activities. Together, these have created a large undefined blacktop, which is unprogrammed, thereby leading to haphazard vehicular movement, encroachment, unsanitary spaces, and an overall uninclusive environment. Who does this space really belong to? And can we reclaim space back for the people? To build a public-centered junction, we have first adjusted the road widths, widened the connecting street, and created a larger turning radius for buses. Through this, we were able to reclaim spaces for a range of public activities. By ensuring appropriate traffic calming measures and clearly defining spaces for pedestrians and vehicles, our conflict area has now been transformed into a people-centric junction. This site will now become a nodal hub for neighboring wards. To achieve this, we have designed a scalable framework that attempts to connect, collaborate, and celebrate. Each of these systems is driven by core values that define its vision: connections to the city through a safe, accessible, and efficient network, collaborations through a participatory and equitable approach while increasing accountability, and celebration of a healthy, inclusive, and sustainable community. We begin with the mobility toolkit. The immediate interventions that affect mobility include on-ground elemental changes that can impact road safety and efficiency, like wayfinding signages and reclaiming space through tactical urbanism trials. Eventually, a change in value systems is required to create universal accessibility. And in the long term, we envision an integrated, sustainable system with technological advancements like NMT infrastructure, EV public transport, and tech-based parking management systems. Moving on to the governance toolkit. The short-term goal is to build accountability in the governance system by creating feedback mechanisms and a space for the people to come together. Gradually, to enhance equity in the spaces, we are trying to look at spaces for collaboration and ones that can connect important government offices. In the long term, this toolkit aims to leverage technology and city-level schemes to bring an identity to the ward and put it on the map of the city. And lastly, the community toolkit. To create a healthy community, we can begin by strengthening the existing community activities like food vending and recreation. We can then look at creating newer community spaces that are inclusive and diverse. And the eventual goal is to build a sustainable, future-fit neighborhood.
With this toolkit in hand, we now begin to spatialize this vision. The mobility plan reworks the bus network. It now includes a designated bus bay to reduce queuing time. A combination of compact raised and at-grade intersections ensures safe pedestrian circulation and connection with shared streets. A section through this transit hub highlights last mile connectivity through IPT and cycles and designated on-street parkings. Next, we look at the governance plan. The governance plan creates a forum that sits at the intersection of public amenities. In this forum, spaces like the amphitheater allow people to get together and take action for their ward through campaigns, ward meetings, and citizen awareness events. A section through this central forum highlights collaborative spaces for the community, along with ecosystem services to ensure circularity. Next, we look at the community plan. The community plan makes spaces for food and street vending, a central park which can be used by women and the elderly, and an interactive school edge for children. A section through this school zone highlights tactical urbanism to engage children and to establish adjacencies of various programs during the day. The street edge is also lined with biospheres to aid in stormwater filtration. Now, looking at the implementation of the vision, as designers, we recognize the importance of collaboration in envisioning the future of our cities. By categorizing goals based on timeframes and involving diverse organizations, we can turn this vision into a reality. First, we look at our aspect of connect, where mobility systems can be enhanced if government transport bodies can come together with the support of NGOs and think tanks for their expertise and private organizations for their products. Second, BBMP already has feedback systems and initiatives such as open city data, startup cells, and awareness campaigns. Civic organizations such as WILAC and Sensing Local can be engaged to make these accessible to the world. To talk about the aspect of celebrate, organizations such as Sunday Saathi and artist group can help formalize existing community activities. Further, street toilets, subsidized canteens, etc. can be maintained with the support of resident welfare associations. So what will the ward finally look like? An unorganized and undefined large area, which is often encroached by haphazard parking, will now become a central transit junction with streamlined networks shared between wards. Next, an unsafe street with conflicting pedestrians and vehicles will now become a pedestrian-friendly zone for all that can transform throughout the day from being a safe school zone in the day and a food vending market in the evenings. Next would be an undefined intersection where neighborhood streets meet and the community activities like street vending takes place, which will now become a raised intersection with designated vending spaces, while also transitioning to a sustainable future. The last would be the central triangular island with existing public amenities, which currently is a dead space, will now become a space for the people of Padarayanapura to voice an opinion, be heard, and take action. Join us to connect, collaborate, and celebrate, and build the vision of a People's Forum. Thank you.
Thank you, team. Sobhya, maybe you can start with your questions.
Hi, sure. I mean, I'm happy to get the others to come in. I can make my notes later. No problem.
Sure. Ketan, could you begin?
Yes, sure. Thanks for a detailed presentation. I would like to ask two questions. So one, once you mentioned about the three toolkits, and you mentioned the involvement of a lot of different players to operate at different levels, short-term, medium-term, and long-term. How exactly do you imagine of all of this process to take place? Who would be the anchor of this entire conversation? Will it be any implementation agency, or you expect yourself as a part of this entire conversation of getting it through from the connect to celebrate entirely? And the second question would be, because you specifically talked about pedestrians and vehicles, if you were able to reduce conflict on the other parts rather than just the raised intersection.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I can answer the first part of the question, and the second part my colleague can take up. With regards to how we imagine the implementation of this, we do believe that as urban practitioners, we will play a central role in coordinating between various agencies, along with the BBMP, of course, to get them in touch with, of course, these agencies, and also create a detailed framework and a timeline for what interventions can be more immediate, what require larger implementation changes, and what are long-term goals. So, for example, if we look at wayfinding signages, putting bollards on streets, things like that, these are things that BBMP can do within the next few months itself. So we believe that since we have an overall sense of what the value systems are that we're looking for, we can direct this process and contact the necessary agencies to put them in touch at various stages.
Right. And I think to answer the second question, I think addressing the question of pedestrians has been the key sort of design challenge that we have taken throughout. So with the raised intersection, of course, because that's the junction where all the internal neighborhood streets are meeting. So that's where the pedestrian footfall is at the most. So that's where we've kind of proposed a raised intersection, if you can see in the plan. However, the other two intersections as well, we have kind of made sure that we're looking at a continuous pedestrian infrastructure with tabletop crossings, especially where the bus stop is. So we're looking at how someone using the bus stop will then take use access for last mile connectivity through cycles or auto rickshaws. So I think we've kind of looked at how a person would kind of move through site and access all of this on foot as our key goal while designing. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Hema, we can take your questions next. I think Hema will join us back. Naveen, we can take your questions next.
Yeah, I think with respect to two things again, problem solving and value addition, I think it's very well addressed, and I was hoping that the toolkit kind of translates into a master plan as well, and I think it does. And I think it was quite smart to reroute the bus, because that makes sense. I don't know if how the route is, how the bus is rerouted, but the idea itself should work. But the whole master plan hinges upon road widening. Now, how practical is it is something I'm not sure. But overall, I think it's a working scheme, bridging the gap of actually resolving the, making it work while, or how much of road widening can you do, how much you can't do, what are the local challenges. I think that's where the crux of your project lies, where is it an academic project or it's an actual project for the site. That's the challenge. But otherwise, I think it's quite well resolved, but I think that's the thing that needs to be addressed.
Right. Anandita, I'll take this. So I think to answer, I think you pointed it out very well that that the bus route did have to change. We kind of looked at how the existing movement is, and then the bus currently would go front and back to kind of take that U-turn. And since this is also a bus stop, which is the first and the last stop, the bus also waits there for a good 10-15 minutes before they sort of leave. So we also kind of had to cater to the fact that maybe there would be two buses at one point who are waiting. So we need to have some space for queuing up as well. So we planned to reroute it through we created a signalized intersection here. If I can get a pointer, just a minute. Anyways,
no, bus routing is a right strategy. I'm saying road widening, your whole master plan hinges on widening of roads. I don't know how practical is it as per site. That's my, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying that's where the challenge lies.
No, I fully agree with you. Yeah. So while we try to not touch the existing, we've broken the plinth from our design, but the existing structures, which are the public toilet and the canteen, we've kind of tried to retain that. So we're assuming that only the plinth would be kind of reduce. But of course, there would be many more on-ground challenges with widening, and that is something we have.
I'm sure there are hawkers and all, no, where you've given the school zone. What happens there currently?
I'll just take this. One is that in the school zone, it's a very narrow footpath currently on site. There are temporal hawkers who come early in the morning and who come late in the night. So our school zone area is actually designed to be an adaptable space where during the day it can be meant for children and it become a safe school zone, while it can have designated spaces for vending in the evenings. That's how we imagined that. The other thing regarding the connecting street, which has been widened, we've actually retained the road widths for all other major roads. We've actually equalized the right of ways and eventually reclaimed more space. So we've managed to streamline that entire process. The only street that required widening was the connection street between this road and where the buses are going to turn. So it was only in the central space. And here we found enough space to do it such that the structures are not affected. And as my colleague pointed out, it's only the plinth of those structures which will have to be broken. Of course, not denying that there will be definite implementation challenges to trying to do that. But we feel that that's the most efficient way in which we can resolve the mobility issues here.
Thanks. Satya, we can take your questions next.
How much time we are left with?
We have about 4 minutes.
Okay. Congratulations on a very confessional presentation. You are confessing, saying yes, road widening is a challenge. Yes, it's going to be difficult, which is very nice because typically the designer's mind always works on defending than really trying to accept. Congratulations. And what you have done takes me back by around 37 years when we were trying to give proposals for the immediate lane after the Ghats in Varanasi, one of the most impossible places for an urban designer can ever work. So we gave this similar kind of proposals for about 15-20 nodes along the path, which is immediately behind the Ghat in those days. They were not implemented, it's a different issue. But wanted to come with impossible solutions for the impossible contexts. But you know what one enjoyed was dreaming. What one enjoyed was, well, if there is will and money, maybe this can be done. So this is a very exact case like that. If there is a willpower, if there is money, if everybody cooperates, well, it can be done. However, having said that, something else now. Since most of them, this very, very personal opinion, it can be contested. Even the other jurors may not agree with me. Personally, I believe nowadays, in the case of India, in most often cases, I personally believe in the minimum intervention approach. The existing, whatever is existing, one is not saying is great and heavenly. No, they are not heavenly. But the existing is self-managed. There are certain rules and unwritten rules and regulations by which it works. When we erase that existing and we create the new, the image, we don't know really how well it works. So I'm speaking more from a theoretical portion right now. So I have some reservations about this working extremely well, because again, some of the issues which we have been seeing right now, be it garbage or parking. See, also remember one thing, some of the issues happening now are also happening because of lack of urban management. I mean, this is not to blame anybody. I know BBMP people are here, engineers are here. We all know our living context. We have to live with our imperatives. So the kind of urban management which we may find in Germany or America is missing in India. So we have to live with it. Now, what we have shown to me appears as if it's something which will require even more greater urban management than what's happening at the moment. And also on a very quick look, it appears to be having lots of interventions, a lot of interventions. Some of them are well thought out, no doubt about it. But if one can rationalize these interventions, minimize it to some extent, and then immediately the practicality of the solution will increase. Right now, doing all this is very difficult, and all have been agreeing. So there are possibilities in this of minimizing the interventions to some extent, and keeping some of the good ideas which are already in this at the moment and see how it can be implemented. But at the moment, the managerial issues, implementability issues, practical issues are a little on the lower side. Ideation, phenomenally high. Keep it up. I stop here.
So could I make a comment to that question?
No, I'm just saying what came to my mind, to my heart and mind.
No, actually, I mean, we did realize that there is a lot to be achieved in the kind of master plan we have proposed, which is why we're looking at a time frame in the implementation strategy. We have done things that can be done short term, and then you can do trials through tactical urbanism. You can make ask the community to get involved, get their feedback, audit the system, which is why we're also saying get in organizations like WRI to participate in this process, audit these systems and see how much is possible. We're understanding that there may be a lot of things that cannot be achieved, but if there is a vision to do this, then maybe we can get even to like 70% of this.
Amen. Let there be the vision.
Thank you, team. We're